Hello, everybody. Welcome into The Cycle. I'm Ryan Wormeli, joined as always by Mike Maher. If you missed parts 1 and 2 of The Cycle this week, be sure to check those out either on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast, where we did rounding the bases and our buys and sells and waiver picks. We are now talking some pitching streamers. We'll, of course, do our 2-start pitcher competition as well and talk about what we're excited about this weekend. Maher, start us off, as we always do for this segment, with our pitching streamers, and we've definitely settled into the pattern of kind of one per every day of the week here. So take us Monday to Sunday.
Yeah, so similar to last week, and similar that we've talked about in a few recent videos, it's not great out there. If you need pitching and you're streaming pitching, some of the names are pretty gross. And I will reiterate something that you said last week, where sometimes the best decision is just to not stream anybody. Which for one of the days I actually wrote, just stay away.
I think last week the day that prompted me to say that was Friday, and this week I noticed Friday is the day you wrote stay away. Maybe Fridays are just bad streaming days.
It could just be that Fridays are bad streaming days. Some of the other names that you can potentially stream, and some of these, you have to assume, either you're in a daily league where you can kind of, either change your lineup every week or make add drops, or change your lineup every day or make add drops every day. And other times, maybe it's a weekly streamer. And so for some of them, maybe you can get like a 2-star pitcher, which one of them I included. For Monday, I have JP Sears at Texas, at the Rangers. They are going to be without Corey Seager. And they already are, according to our pitching streaming tool, they're one of the bottom offenses, meaning they're a good team to stream against right now, just based on recent performance. I don't think that's going to stay the case all year, but at least right now they are not hitting well, and so they are a target to stream against. And so JP Sears is up to a fine start, 3.21 ERA. He's available in most leagues. Consensus roster percentage is like 14%. Tuesday, I have someone we already mentioned. I have Andrew Heaney, who is a potential 2-star pitcher. As of right now, he's projected to be a 2-star pitcher. The only problem is that his 2 starts are against the Cubs and the Padres, 2 of the better offenses in the league. And so you're kind of really getting an Andrew Heaney truth test here of how legit this start is for him, and you're going to find out next week. Even though I think some of the Cubs stuff, I know a lot of people think they have like the best offense in baseball or one of the best offenses in baseball. I think some of that is going to kind of, come back down to earth. I don't know if their offense is going to be this good all year. Wednesday is actually probably my favorite pick of the week, Tobias Myers. I don't necessarily love grabbing a pitcher just coming off the injured list to start right away. But he is starting at the White Sox. And so if you're going to come off the injured list, a nice soft landing spot is going against the White Sox. And so Tobias Myers is a pitcher who I like. He's maybe just kind of like a guy, but he's also just been like really solid for a pretty, for like all last season. I kept waiting. I think there was actually one point early in the year in the 2-star pitcher competition where I was like, oh, maybe I'll just stream Tobias Myers like as a joke. And then he was just like really good like the rest of the year. And I was like, oh, joke's on me. Thursday, not the biggest name, but also attacking the White Sox, Chad Patrick, who was off to a fine start with the Brewers, and just again attacking that White Sox offense. I don't know how long Chad Patrick's going to be in the rotation because they have some pitchers coming back, but for now, he's pitching fine and he's got the White Sox. Friday, I have as a stay away. I looked at some names for Friday, and it was hard to get there. There's Ben Brown against the Brewers I wasn't crazy about. Michael Wacha against the Orioles. Mitch Keller against the Padres. Mitch Keller if you can stream him, like maybe you can do it, but he's probably rostered. He's below the 50% threshold on this tool, but my guess is if you're in CBS or Yahoo, he's probably already rostered. And then Quinn Priester, I don't know that I would stream him against the Cubs, despite everything I just said about the Cubs. Do you want to take your life into Charlie Morton's hands and go against the Royals?
Charlie Morton needs to retire a month ago. I mean, he's so washed.
Yeah, and that's really it. Unless you want to go with Michael Soroka, Jonathan Cannon, Ryan Feltner. Like Friday is just a stay away day for me.
No, you've proven your point.
Yeah. Saturday, Jameson Taillon against the Brewers. Taillon his numbers aren't that great, but he got off to kind of like a rough start, and he's been fine his last few starts. And so he's an interesting streaming candidate to stream against the Brewers at Milwaukee. And then Sunday, I kind of have pick your poison of two pitchers going up against each other. Do you want Randy Vasquez going up against the Pirates or Andrew Heaney going up against the Padres? Andrew Heaney being if you're in a weekly league, he'd be a 2-star pitcher, but does have the Cubs and the Padres. And then the honorable mention I have is, I forget what day it was on, but I have Tyler Anderson at Seattle as kind of like a bonus one for someone who might be available in your league. It looks like it's Wednesday. Tyler Anderson at Seattle is another name that kind of jumped out to me of someone I'd be fine streaming against the Mariners.
Anderson would probably be my favorite if available. I guess like Myers or Taillon are the other favorites. It's not a particularly eye-popping group of names here.
No, it's the waiver wire is thin right now for pitching. So if you're streaming, you have to really pick your spots.
Does this make you, like, going through this exercise, maybe more inclined to take a value hit in a trade of like a hitter for a pitcher? If you were trying to just add pitching and not have to do as much streaming?
I don't know. It's hard to say just because I have a couple of leagues where I really, really need hitting. And so it's hard to think about like from the reverse perspective. I tend to lean wanting hitting because I think it's harder to find like long-term hitting replacements or stream hitters, where I think with like streaming pitchers, I can always just stream volume and like you're gonna have some rough spots. But if you're right more than you're wrong, and you also have a few decent starters on your team, the numbers should work out in the end, like the law of large numbers, unless you're just like streaming and getting blown up time and time again. But I do kind of like in some leagues, depending on how it goes, like having almost like one spot where I dedicate like a streaming pitcher, especially where I could just like file in like 2-star pitchers or like a good matchup paired with starters that I really like, and then just locking in as many good hitters as I can.
All right, let's go to our 2-start pitcher competition. We'll check in how we did in week 2, which is the most recent completed week. You had Tariq Skubal against the Brewers and the Royals. He got 28.4 points in our league. I had Max Fried against the Royals as well, and the Rays. He got 36.2 points. So I come away the victor there, evening up the season at 1-1. We wanted to make a note of checking to see how Taijuan Walker did. He combined for 3 fantasy points. So we were definitely correct to not buy into the early decent start of Taijuan Walker. We're still waiting to see how Hunter Brown versus Max Meyer goes, or if it doesn't end up being Brown. Is it still looking like Brown won't make the second start? I actually haven't looked.
I was going to ask you. I haven't looked.
I haven't checked. So possibly Hunter Brown for me, possibly Bryce Miller. Based on how their first starts went, I'm certainly hoping it's Hunter Brown. We'll see what ends up being the case there. But Mayer's got Max Meyer, who obviously got off to a very strong start here in the week. We'll see how that goes. For week 4, this upcoming week, I went first. Kind of another week of like not a ton of like names I loved. I ended up going with Freddie Peralta because he's getting the Chicago teams. He's at the White Sox, and he's home versus the Cubs, and he's off to a pretty good start this season. So, like I said, I didn't kind of want to overthink it. I just went for someone who has pitched pretty well and who has, he gets the White Sox, which is just always going to be kind of not that I needed a tiebreaker in this case, but it's always going to be somebody that I will gravitate towards. Do you have any? We haven't really talked about Peralta this year so far. Just any kind of quick thoughts on what we've seen out of him. I mean, yesterday he pitched poorly prior to me putting his name in the sheet, so that makes it look a little bit less. He had 5 innings, 3 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts yesterday. Prior to that, his ERA was 1.91. I think his WHIP was under 1 before yesterday. So he had looked pretty good so far.
Yeah, and yesterday he had 4 shutout innings before the wheels came off. So it was really that 5th inning that got him. And I know because I bet his under 2.5 runs. And
brutal.
So I lost that one. And I remember like, I don't know if I was like going to sleep or putting my kids to bed. I was like, oh, sweet, 4 shutout innings. Like, oh, I just need like another inning or two and get him out of there and we'll win this bet. And then, nope, three runs. But yeah, I like Freddie Peralta. I think he was maybe like overrated a couple years ago. Now he's maybe underappreciated. I just think he's like a good, like, not an ace, but like a, A2, B1 type starting pitcher who I think is going to be fine.
Okay.
Also, Hunter Brown, it does look like it is going to be a 2-star pitcher. I know there was some talk that Lance McCullers could return and pitch for the Astros. Does not appear to be the case, and he's currently lined up to start against the Royals on Sunday.
That is quality news for my 2-star pitcher competition because I need a great foot forward to beat Max Meyer coming off of his first start of the week. All right, so Freddie Peralta for me. Who is your pick?
I went with Jacob deGrom, who has the Athletics not in Sacramento and has the Seattle Mariners. Both starts in Texas. And I figure use Jacob deGrom while you can because who knows if he's going to be there in June.
I'd rather just not use him at all this year.
I mean, he hasn't been that bad. He just hasn't been SP1, as some people had him.
Yeah, just not a...
Shout out to Joe Arica.
Not really buying in. Do the Athletics scare you not in Sacramento?
I mean, that lineup looks better and better every day.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's a pretty fun lineup. Like, even aside from the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean the ballpark especially scares me, but yeah, they are no longer an offense that I'm targeting intentionally. It just happened to be I wanted to see how deGrom could do, but yeah, there's that lineup is looking pretty good, especially if Brent Rooker gets going.
Yeah, let's look at our weekend excitement here to wrap things up. I almost just wrote down only one thing. I did end up writing more, but like we get Paul Skenes versus Yamamoto. That rules. Cannot wait to watch that.
You did write it in all caps.
Yeah, because I'm super excited about it. It's like, I mean, how many pitching matchups could you come up with right now that you'd be more excited to watch than that? Not many, I don't think.
Yeah, there was someone in the YouTube comments last week who called Yamamoto mid after our like ace conversation, which I don't agree with.
What?
He's really
based
good.
On what?
I don't know.
I mean, listen, I respect differing opinions, and if they want to make the case, go ahead, but. Like, for me, my only real question with Yamamoto coming into this season was, like, just given that it's the Dodgers, like, how many innings do we actually get? Do they give him a phantom IL stint? Do they take him out after the 5th inning a lot of time? That was my concern. When he's on the mound, I pretty much have no concerns about Yamamoto at all. I think he's really good. So that's my stance. I'm going out on a limb and saying I think Yamamoto, good pitcher.
I might not be able to rest everyone as much anymore because they are currently in 3rd place in the West.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, Skenes versus Yamamoto, super excited about. Shane Baz versus Michael King is a really fun one of two arms that we like a lot. Then we get Max Meyer versus Bryce Miller, which I wrote down just because it was possibly going to be our 2-star pitchers going head-to-head. It sounds like I will still get to stick with Hunter Brown, as I made clear last week. So maybe that one won't be as exciting for us personally. But yeah, Skenes versus Yamamoto was the big one for me.
For me, I wrote down the NFL draft. Always a very exciting time. For me, I love the NFL draft. I loved when it was all day on Saturday because my friends and I would get together and just have like an all day like out. We would like put a TV outside and like barbecue and make a whole day of it. I kind of don't love the 3-day extravaganza of like 1 round and then 2 more rounds and then wrapping it up.
Yeah, like two days was fine when it was like rounds 1 and 2 and then 3 to 7. But like, yeah, 3 days is I don't need that.
Yeah.
And by the time round 1 ends, I'm like, I want to keep going. Like, give me another round.
Yeah, it's brutal. Especially like, as fans of teams that are often picking towards the end of the draft, like you wait all night and then like your team like trades out of the first round.
I know.
Like, oh,
that's
man,
happened so many times.
I also wrote down, I wanted to see more Nick Kurtz, and he's going to be at home. In that ballpark, which I'm excited to watch. I just decided to watch him like in general and like see, if this, power is legit and just like, I'm just excited to watch a young prospect like that. And then while you went with all the aces, I kind of wrote down a bunch of other names of pitchers I wanted to see just because they're off to really, really strong starts.
All the aces. I wrote down Skenes and Yamamoto. That's it.
Well, the other, and Max Meyer. Well, you wrote down like some exciting pitching matchups. I wrote down some kind of like middle of the road names who I'm just excited to kind of like see. Like Mitchell Parker is someone we haven't really talked about. He's off to a really strong start. doesn't seem that real to me, but also like I just kind of want to see. Tyler Mahle, someone we've talked about on the show, who's like seems like a lot of smoke and mirrors, but he's off to a really strong start. And then Nick Lodolo, also off to a strong start. He's pitching in Colorado, which I, grimacing emoji at that one. But yeah, I'm interested to see like a lot of those pitchers who are just off to like really good starts. Like what's going on here? How long is this going to go on for? Like, are the wheels going to come off immediately? Is this going to kind of be like a first half thing? And then the last time I wrote down is Walker Buehler, who has like been on a pretty good run, but it just doesn't pass the eye test to me. Like I watch him pitch and I'm like, this doesn't look right. Like the velocity's down. He's not really like getting a lot of like swing and miss. Like it just seems like disaster is about to happen at any turn there. And so I'm interested to watch him pitch again because even though the numbers have looked fine the last few starts, it just like I said, it doesn't really pass the eye test to me. It's like something looks off here.
We will wrap up there. Thanks everybody for tuning in to hopefully all 3 sections of the cycle, whether you're watching on video or listening on whatever audio platform you use to get your podcast. Next week, it's very likely and pretty much confirmed not be on the show for some travel I have going on. So Kelly Kirby will be stepping in for me, and you'll be stuck with Mike Maher hosting. So
you get me as a host next week. Host with the most.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. So I'll be back after that for this week for Maher and myself. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see you again next time.